the gentlewoman from Illinois, Ms. Schakowsky, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to the witnesses. Really appreciate your being here and your service. Pretty much since I've been in Congress, which is quite 22 years, I have raised concerns about the costs of private military contractors. A 2017 report by the department's own Cost Assessment and Program Evaluation Office found that these contractors often cost far more than DoD civilian employees. An additional study that was done by the Sustainable Defense Task Force estimated that currently curtailing the contractors' workforce by even 15% could save over $20 billion a year. Unfortunately, the data that DoD used to manage the labor costs is deteriorating. A February government GAO report tells us that the DoD new system for collecting the data about the employees does not include what was in the previous system, including direct labor costs associated with contractor workforce. And this data is essential for analyzing the right workforce mix of military, civilian, and contractors. So, Undersecretary McCord, what are you doing to improve labor cost data collection, and how do you plan to use the data to control the cost of private military contractors?
Thank you, Congressman. There's two issues here. I think there's the policy issue of when there are cuts imposed, as there have been in defense authorization bills on headquarters staff in particular, there's an impetus to move to contractors because you're told to cut your government staff, whether military or civilian. So there's that's a policy problem we struggle with of, that's where you have flexibility, so that's the direction people go, and as you say, then that brings you to the cost issue. Have you really saved any money when you squeeze the government workforce, but the contractor workforce is sort of considered separately? The data issue, I'd have to get back to you for the record on which system you're talking about and what are the way aheads on that. But it has been a struggle, both counting service contractor costs more generally, as well as the cost compared to government civilians. But I'll have to take for the record what are the deliverables that we might owe you.
I mean, there's certainly been problems in just figuring out what the defense budget is. Have you been passing audits?
The department entered into a full move as I was leaving and moving into the last administration and now coming back from audits of the Army, Navy, Air Force separately, different components separately, to a full department audit. We have not gotten a clean opinion, as I'm sure you're aware, on that audit. But we are in the full audit regime, but we have not gotten a clean opinion yet.
I wanted to ask about climate change. Many national security experts and members of the military have stated that climate change is a, quote, threat multiplier. Yet we still see the Department of Defense as the world's largest institutional user of petroleum and the world's single largest institutional producer of greenhouse gases. What is that?
As you say, we are the world's preeminent global power, so we do operate in a global way in which no other military does. We do consume more energy to accomplish that. There are initiatives underway on both the installation side of the energy that's consumed at fixed places at bases and at bases and shipyards and such, and then there's the energy in motion, as you describe it. There are initiatives primarily at this point, I think, more on the vehicle side, which is the easiest place to make progress. On the air side, which is where most of the energy is consumed, that's going to be the harder challenge.
Okay, I'm just a little concerned that what you're saying is that addressing the issue of our carbon footprint is simply really not a priority. And I think it's really important that we look for ways not to diminish our power, that is, as a nation, but to reduce our use of carbon emissions. So I yield back.
Congressman, I would just say, if I conveyed the impression it's not a priority, that's not what I misspoke. I'm just saying it's technically harder to address the jet fuel issue than it is to address vehicles.
I hear that. Thank you.